When they finally made it to the cave, they quickly noticed the suffocating aura hanging thick in the air. It was clear the seal was dangerously close to breaking. But before anyone could so much as say a word, the girl leading the charge marched straight inside. The weird energy didn't slow her down at all. Meanwhile, inside the said cave, the pupa was still trying to chomp off the crystal ball, but thankfully, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was off, and so he stepped back first and rethink his situation. Why would the Kirin let him devour something so valuable? And of course it didn't take long for the realization to hit him. The crystal ball wasn't just some shiny treasure. It was the seal keeping the Kirin trapped. And this revelation sent a chill down his tiny spine. But it also gave him an idea, a really bold one. And so, wasting no time, Pupa turned to the system with an urgent question. Could he devour creatures stronger than him if they were defenseless? To his surprise, the system answered yes. And with that confirmation, he launched himself at the majestic beast, sinking his little jaws right into its shimmering scales. At first, the Kirin didn't even take him seriously, glaring at him like he was some annoying bug. But then its expression shifted, and panic flickered in its eyes as the pupa's devouring skill kicked into high gear. The beast roared in agony as its powerful form started to break apart piece by piece under the relentless attack. But just as the pupa was ready to celebrate his ultimate triumph, the system chimed in with some seriously bad news. The Kirin was way too powerful to be digested, and this sent him into a full-blown tantrum, flailing around the cave like a whirlwind of frustration. But then again, a bright idea had come to mind. Maybe exercise could speed things up. And so, he bolted across the cave at top speed, running in circles until he collapsed, panting and gasping for air. The system, unfazed by the spectacle, calmly explained that digestion wasn't about running around. It required consuming other creatures, equipment, or treasures to break the Kirin's energy down. And this only made the pupa grumble louder, cursing the system for not warning him earlier. But the system was a smart ass, and just reasoned out that he never asked, fueling his anger even more. But before he could even argue further, his tiny body began to levitate, glowing as the Kirin's residual energy coursed through him. He could feel the mystical power surging, and so he readied himself to transform, but he was yanked toward the cave entrance instead. This was done by none other than the queen herself. She was initiating a contract with the Kirin. So when they saw a monster flying towards them at top speed, they thought the ritual was a success. And they are finally getting closer to recapture the majestic beast. And as the monster got in contact with them, aura burst through the cave. It was so intense and flashy that it made them even more excited. This was definitely the Kirin's aura. But as the dust settled and the glowing runes faded, their excitement quickly turned to confusion. Because instead of the mighty Kirin standing in the binding circle, there was just a tiny, bewildered pupa floating mid-air. As the pupa tried to wrap its tiny head around the chaos unraveling in the cave, the system answered him, and that a contract had been signed. And to the pupa's absolute horror, it was now bound as the queen's exclusive spirit creature. Immediately, the pupa wasted no time protesting. It squirmed and wriggled, flailing its little limbs in defiance, clearly unwilling to accept this role. But in the middle of its tiny tantrum, he got to look at the woman's face a little closer, and felt eerily familiar with it, as she looked just like Chenmo, and distracted by this resemblance. The pupa didn't notice when the queen snatched it up, holding it upside down with a look that screamed disdain. This is when the pupa retracts his assumptions, as Chenmo wouldn't be this ruthless. But before anyone could figure out what to do next, the queen suddenly coughed up blood and crumpled to the ground, her body trembling as she fell to one knee. One elder immediately moved to help her, but another stopped him, his eyes glued to the pupa with nothing but disgust. He muttered about how pathetic the queen's choice of a